Good morning, hello, and welcome your faces back to another video. This is the third instalment of our road trip up north. This time we are going to the Roman village in Adleborough. I think that's what it's called. And yeah, it's very interesting, and you'll learn more about what relics can be found around here of the Romans. And there's a lot more up north than just this. This is a very small part of what we've done before. So, highly recommend visiting if you're into the Romans and the history of Britain. Right, well, without further ado, let's begin. Well, the I've forgot the name now. Roman town, though. It's just half an hour away from Richmond, south. So it's on our way back home. My partner's actually now sleeping. Anyway, let's see what this has to offer.
Right, so here we go. Why are we here? Why is Roman Alpha here? Dead easy. It started about AD 70. They haven't really lived here much before that. But they realised that if you want to go along Deer Street heading to York, this goes over the river. You've got the river here. This is the furthest that you can navigate up the river from Hull. And if you can go to Hull, you can go all over the world. So basically this was an amazing centre to get stuff up the north where the Romans wanted to go. So we discovered there were warehouses all around here. There were lots of industrial buildings. The Roadcliffe Road, we did have a fort here up to 86 AD when it wasn't required anymore because the Brigantes had been well defeated and they were now going to live the Roman way. It was sort of quite in favour of it before. I wouldn't recommend you go and have a look at the fort Roadcliffe unless you've got a death wish. It's now onto the motorway.
Yes.
Oh, maybe not, but they found it when they did that. In about AD 120, they wanted an administrative centre in the north of England. So the Romans needed someone to collect the money, the taxes, and give out the laws and everything else. And they never did it themselves, they always got local tribesmen to do it. And that's where we come in. So they built the forum, they built the whole place, and they even put in an amphitheatre, which is just seriously outdated. The forum was where all the stuff came in, that's like the market. The basilica is where they gave out all the laws. And the people who administered this were not Romans, they were the local Brigantes tribesmen who fought people, the aristocracy if you like, and they lived up the top end, so we were going to be in the top end. Modern Aldeburgh stops about there, by the way. So all this is now fields, so it's a lot bigger than it is now. So starts you off as to why we're here. The other reason we have to be here is you always need something, because the Romans like stuff, as you know. Lead. They love me some lead. Lead is the Roman version of plastic. Everything was made with lead. And so up in the Dales, we still have lead. And therefore they were processing it up there, bringing it down here, bunging it on ship, and getting it out around the empire. So it was a major trading area. Okay. But now it's going to become an important place. There's only 15 of these towns in the whole of the British province, and we were one. We're the most northern and quite rare. So Granted are the local people. I thought they are the rich people. a little walk down their house. So we're just going to go up around here. The other thing to understand here, this is also a Victorian garden. This was all hidden. It's still hidden in people's houses. But in 1834, the property was bought by a guy, a guy who really loved archaeology. And this is why he bought it. So it's created this amazing garden that you walk down and enjoy it. You go in a bit. That's what we're going to do. That includes 2 mosaics in situ. The special towns, or called civitases, actually had walls built around, so they had them all built around at that point. So this is a bit of wall. As they dug it out in Victorian times, they created these nice banks, and we get all these lovely trees. Trees were imported specially. They are Atlas, cedar, and black. And they're rather splendid. They're 200 years old. We're a wall. We're a wall. So, what we can now see is the wall, and you can see how wide it is. About the size of that tree.
Oh, wow.
Although I have to say that tree may have grown since someone told me it was the size of that tree, so we might be slightly a bit.
They're pretty tall.
So it worked fairly simply. We had the line of the town wall here. Then you had the inner ditch, which you're stood on. Then you have the middle ditch and the outer ditch. Now, my problem with this as a great defensive wall is A, it's made of red sandstone, which is quite frankly not very strong. Okay, I'll live with that because they didn't have anyone to attack with anything much. But the problem is that your big wall, you need to be able to see distance. Look behind you. You can't even see to the road. And the problem is all round here, this is a similar idea. So we're pretty sure it wasn't because it was needed as a defensive wall. What we believe, it was sheerly for show. And a local winery has adopted us a bit, and in their winery they have this mural. And what it does is it shows you what it would look like.
Oh, wow.
Now, ignore that bit. They're a winery.
They were there the whole time.
Yeah, like heck they were. But what you can see is you can see that you've got one of the gates there, you've got another gate down here, you'll have another gate at the other end, and you'll have another gate behind David there. 4 gates each going in a different direction. As you come in, you would be charged, taxed, and everything else as you came in. But what this is really for is show. You can't walk along the tops. Not that's all. It just is sheerly wow. If you were an Iron Age bloke or a family, you lived in a roundhouse, you're going to be pretty impressed with that. Given the choice, the Romans didn't initially come up here and invade particularly because Queen Cartimandua, who's my favourite, she was the local queen. The Romans hated the fact that women could be powerful in Iron Age Britain, but she was. She realised that she quite fancied the bling, they paid her off basically, and so she said, okay, I'll look after it for you, so they didn't have to come up here. until her husband took exception for her having an affair with his armour bearer. And he revolted. There was a civil war, and at that point they couldn't save Cartimandua this time, and the army came up and they took control. They defeated him, but they didn't defeat the whole tribe, because a lot of the tribe were quite happy living the Roman lifestyle. Given the choice, little roundhouse, bathrooms, little roundhouse, know which one I go for. So at this point they're going to build this beautiful town, and they're going to have nice walls around, but it is shield shape. Okay, so if you can have a look at hatching, they're made by the masons, so they are making it look pretty with lots of marks that would have just been made using very basic tools. Many of the builders may have been slaves. Sorry?
Is the quarry close by? For the
yeah.
stone? Real close.
You're just ruining my
He's
style.
gonna get to that.
I love it when people do that.
Thank you.
Yes, you are absolutely right. Because why would you use rubbish stone if you had to carry it in a great distance? Man is a genius.
So it might be kind of a dumb question, but where did all the height of the wall go?
It's stolen.
Stolen. People just took it apart.
Yeah, as soon as the wall is no longer wanted, they just steal it and they put it in houses. Right, because the quarry is here.
Ah!
Well, I said the quarries found around, but this is the one that had the name, and it is a rarity, and it was a Roman site. It was never used after that. And that makes it quite remarkable that it's still here. It all got filled up, but the Victorians dug it all out so they could walk through. We can't allow you to walk through because it is not safe, and we really don't want to have to do the paperwork when you all die. Seriously. But this is what it will look like if you could see properly into it. You can see a little bit into it, just tightly further along. In it is pathways and even little alcoves with nice bits of pottery in there. Because they wanted to look good as you walked around. Remember, this was a nice garden. They dug it out, did the Victorians, and they created this great big pile. The idea was that you came down here, you had your sandwiches that were brought down from the big house, and you'd sit there and have a picnic on the top, admiring the view. Wouldn't try it now if I were you. I think badgers have completely undermined it. And it's pretty little thing. So the wall now turns. If you do want to have a gaze look here, I think here is about the best place, and you can just see down in. You can certainly see how steep it is and how dodgy it is. If you put that high enough, you might be able to see a bit better. You don't know. I've never tried that. I don't have that.
I don't know, I can't see what I'm seeing.
No, that's the trouble, isn't it? It all goes horribly wrong when I suggest things like that. Columns, and they're the bottom of columns that would have gone up outside buildings. Now, if you think that's going to be a stone column, that's a serious bit of kit. That is seriously posh. And that's the whole point. The people at this end of town were incredibly good. This tree, if you do like something in the wrong place, you have a Roman altar. The Roman attitude to religion was very, very simple. As long as you accepted their gods, that was absolutely fine. You could have your own. They didn't mind. All this one true God business, not going to happen. But if a lot of people in Iron Age Britain would actually be quite happy with that. They would have their own gods, perhaps from the fields or the sky or whatever, and therefore just accepting a few more were fine by then. What's a few more? When we think of Italian food, we think of courgettes, we think of tomatoes, we think of all those good things that go into a typical lovely pizza. Nah, none of them. They all came from South America. So this is what they actually ate. They ate a lot of beans. They ate cucumbers. They ate turnips, borlotti beans, peas, lettuce, parsnip, chard. They like carrots, not orange carrots. They were purple. And it goes on and on. They loved things like chives, that sort of thing. Their favourite thing that we can't grow because the birds keep nicking them is cabbage. That was their favourite thing. I have to tell you that the lady who does this garden told me that they regarded them as aphrodisiacs. Now that's not my knowledge of cabbage, but I leave that with you. I would have thought it was the exact opposite. We then have, in addition, we have herbs. They were very much into making food tasty by using herbs. But they also used herbs for medicinal purposes, and they also used them for religious purposes. And so we have a selection of herbs. That one's still a work in progress, obviously. But if we have a look along here, so you're looking along a line where that tree is, you should be able to vaguely see a space. And what that is it's the wall to a house. Now when it was first found, they thought it was a barracks. But this is not a Roman fort. This is a town. What it turned out to be is a townhouse. And this thing is really big. It's quite big by modern British terms, never mind about Iron Age. Now you might think he's going to have a wall straight outside. He's going to be really annoyed about this, but no. Why would he not care? Because Roman houses didn't look outwards. We look outwards on their houses. Roman house had courtyards and you looked inwards. So he would not have cared that that wall was that close. Well, he might have been a bit miffed, but yeah, he'd have been alright with it. Okay, so the other thing is here. This is so cute. So this is a beautiful piece that was found in Adleborough. It's now in the British Museum. We ain't getting that back. Not unless we go and steal it. They won't notice, will they? Ooh. It is an oil flask, but what it really directs our attention to is slavery. This is a little slave boy. He's waiting on his master. He's got a lamp ready to take him home, and he will sit there until his master tells him. Slavery was vicious. You had nothing. You were not kept in good conditions. Having said that, Iron Age, our ancestors in the Iron Age, they had slaves too, so don't feel too bad about it. We all had slaves. It is thought that something like 30% of the people in Rome were slaves. We're not sure about the percentage in Britain. We don't know. We have so little evidence. But what we have is evidence that it was prevalent here because you bother to have this lovely little thing made. And that's an image that is quite common, the boy waiting. And they were just called slave boys. You didn't get a name. You're not with it. Eventually you could be freed, by the way, but even as a freed man, you still didn't have the same rights as someone who was born free. The kids did. It lost it after a generation, but that was it. Okay, so a lot of this amazing building work would have been done by slaves. It wouldn't have been done by soldiers because this wasn't a fort. Obviously they built Hadrian's Wall. They wouldn't have built this. What they might have done is they might have advised on the mechanics, because I mean I have a friend who's a Royal Engineer, and trust me, you can't shut him up about giving you advice and stuff, so I'm sure they would have advised. He's very nice, but here we have what is called a ha-ha. Do you know what a ha-ha is?
No.
It's a wall, very steep wall.
Yes.
And on the other side is where all your animals will be, so the sheep, cows, whatever. To stop them getting into your garden, you had this wall. Why was it called a ha-ha? Because as you walked up to it, you went, aha! And hence it's called, honestly. Can't make that up. And it's actually called a ha-ha. It really is.
How old is the city then, or the town?
So AD 70 was the beginning of the settlement, but the actual town was put in place around AD 120.
Right.
We know that because we found a gold coin, which is Trajan. He died in 117, and the gold coin is so valuable, no way would anyone have lost it. They would have found it. They would have searched for days. And they think it was put underneath the forum for good luck.
Right.
Because why would you put such an expensive gold? It also had never been used. It was pristine, so it wasn't ever in circulation. Which is why they think that's what it is. All archaeology is things.
Yeah. Guesses.
Yeah.
Best guesses.
What will we do about that? So we can't dig because people get really annoyed if we go in their houses and dig their lounges up.
Oh yeah.
I imagine, yeah.
Who knew? No, I don't know. But what we do is anything that we can get into has been geophysed. So the guys who have written the guidebook that you've very sensibly bought are the archaeologists who do all the research, so they really are on top of the game. What we know is what's under here. So we do actually have some different levels. So there's 3 terraces, because otherwise you'd have to walk up and down hill on your house, and no one wants to do that. These are rich people. So there are 3 terraces here that houses were built on, and this is what is under this area here. It's actually the other way round because for some reason English Heritage put things upside down, but let's ignore that. So it's that way up, as you can see there. And what we do know, those colonnades that we saw, you remember those when we came round? There they are. So that's how posh this house would have been. So we know these are the floors, we know these are the walls, we can pretty much guess that must be there. Are there mosaics under there? Oh, I think so, don't you? Over 20 mosaics have been found in Adleborough since the first one was found in the late 16th century. Only 10 have been found in York, but York was a military town. But we still got more than them. Not that we're competitive. Yes, we are. So we know what's under here. Why aren't we going to dig it? 1, we know what's there. 2, archaeology is destructive. 3, last I heard, at least £250,000. It's too expensive.
Then you have to have a place for it.
What are we going to do with it? Yeah, absolutely.
Whether you box it or put it back in place.
What are we going to do with it all? You're absolutely right. Why don't we leave it until future generations, they might have better ideas. So yeah, you're absolutely right. For instance, 2 years ago, I was on the fines tent and I was cleaning, weird what you do, I was cleaning a piece of coal. And that piece of coal, we wanted to know where it had come from. Do you know where it was sent? The University of Kentucky. That was where the expert
I can
was.
believe that.
Yes.
Of course they're experts, because they know all about mine.
They have a lot of coal.
Okay, that's where it had to go. If we find Samian ware, it has to go to France.
Right. Sure.
So it's very expensive to do the investigations. But what are you going to do with it is number 4. I'm adding that to my list because it's brilliant.
And
it's
who does everybody go for DNA right now? Sweden.
Oh, right.
Isn't
Yeah,
it
do
Sweden?
they really? Oh, right.
Yes.
I don't know. I've not had
Yeah,
one done.
it's like 2 guys in Sweden.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just simply don't do it. So we're going to leave it here for people in the future, and then it's up to them. we had somebody come and kick in a window. Okay. These are Georgian windows. This is a Grade 2 listed building, completely protected, unfortunately. So we're really sorry about that. There should be a better view with more light, but unfortunately they did it. The mosaic, luckily they didn't damage the mosaic. The mosaic itself was about late 2nd, early 3rd century. It was just a reception room, it was nothing special. It's just like having a carpet down. This was a very, very rich person's house. At the back of here has been dug and they did discover there was a bathhouse. So, you know, they didn't have to go far to the baths. Always good news.
Spring fed.
I've no idea.
Well, it's quite close to Harrogate here, isn't it? So
It is, but yeah, we have found that there was drainage down to the river and back. Don't forget the river's there.
Yeah.
They probably got slaves to carry all the water up. They don't care. Slaves are paying a penny.
That's true.
It gives the monkeys about slaves. Sorry. It's a really harsh fact.
we would be back in those days.
And
Yeah.
it is something we do have to just admit and not worry too much about. What you will notice is the tesserae are very small, particularly around where you should see a lion. Now you may be thinking you can't see the lion. So our local cat, Gigi, helped me out last year. When she came and sat on the mosaic and wouldn't move. And there she is. I could not get her to move back and sit where she should have been, by the way. All she did was go meow, 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 meow. It was very noisy. But that's Gigi. She is around most days, usually searching for food. But it gives you an idea of what it would have looked like. Now the rarity is with that is that there weren't any lions in Britain. So therefore whoever asked for this to be done either travelled or was very sophisticated enough to know that there were lions elsewhere, or had seen something that he really liked. So that's quite unusual, which means it's pretty good quality.
Because Roman Empire, where would it would have touched lions? Because where would lions lie in Africa? North Africa, would they have
Africa?
Africa?
Wouldn't you? I don't know if they had any.
They
in
brought them up
France.
to Rome.
Oh, did they?
Don't forget.
They're probably treated
Colosseum was
Oh,
full of
yeah,
lions.
yeah,
and
lions. Yeah, you're
And
right.
they
Yeah.
he could have
Then
even
they're-
seen,
they're
There was a
definitely-
good North Africa trade. Yeah.
Yeah, they would have
he could
definitely
have
known
seen
about
something
lions.
at the Colosseum and gone, oh, I'll have that.
Yeah.
But we'll have it nice and peaceful underneath a tree, a palm tree that you don't get here. But it was a really nice picture. So there you have mosaic number 1.
Okay.
Mosaic number 2 is over here. This was found in 1848 by a proper archaeologist, which is why it's perfect. It's called the Star Mosaic, you'll never guess why. And it is a much more basic design. The tesserae are bigger and it therefore is less lush. It's a simpler one. The same age as the other one, late 2nd, 3rd century.
I mean, how do we know how old they are? It's of interest.
The experts.
Oh, the experts.
I
know.
have to just tell you the experts because
Okay.
I haven't a clue. The experts have come and investigated all the different things and they're the ones that we get the dates from. Okay,
yeah.
so I have no idea.
Fair enough.
I'll
Yeah.
be honest. They're experts.
Trust them.
This was also, the cover was built at the same time. By this time, the owner, Lawson, didn't like the Duke of Newcastle, so he didn't want to give him any business. So we don't get brickwork. What we get is this. And this is probably nicked bits of Roman wall, to be brutally frank.
Oh,
I wouldn't be at all surprised.
How-
It's certainly the same sort of stuff.
how poetic.
Either that or they dug it out while they were doing the other thing. Both of these buildings are Grade 2 listed.
Well, this certainly looks like the stuff that's up
It
here.
does, doesn't it? It is Grade 2 listed and they are both protected under special laws. If you live in this area, if you actually live within Aldborough, within the walls, there are special rules on your deeds, you are not allowed to dig down more than 2 spade lengths without an archaeologist. They do what's called a sitting brief, which usually means he sits with in a deck chair and watches, and if nothing interesting comes out, you carry on with what you're doing. If not, well, you're going to have to fund
So
a
much
dig.
for that vegetable garden.
It's 2 spade lengths down, though.
Well, that's true. That's pretty.
fair.
You can do a raised bed.
You could do it.
Okay.
There you go. You can move a raised
Well,
So if you
we're
find
talking
a-
40 or 50 centimeters, aren't we?
Well, that's a spade length,
Okay.
so it's
Yeah.
about that much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does it depend on how big the spade is, though? I get a massive spade, can't I? And just say, well, look.
Yeah. You can get a 60 or an 80.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what it says on the deeds, but yeah, I like your style. So there are considerable limitations on what you can do within this area, just because it is such an important part. 200 people live in Adleborough at the moment, roughly. Through 2,500 to 3,000 lived here in Roman times, we believe. Which was a large amount for the time. Now it wouldn't be very much at all. But of course you haven't got high rise or anything like that. Okay. We do have one other joke, which is the Victorian hoax. This was actually found down by Deer Street, reputedly. However, it's pretty much assumed to be a complete fake by a Victorian builder who sold it to someone in Boroughbridge. It is, however, made of real tesserae, which is quite interesting. At first, we definitely thought, well, that's rubbish. But I have a problem with that. You know, they were quite good. It's Romulus and Remus. What happened to the nipples? I mean, come on. How are you going to feed them? So we're pretty sure it's a fake. But he put it in the ground and somebody discovered it.
Huh.
So we do know where it was found.
Trick. Funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So these two, because of where they are, this one, because it's slightly north of the other one, so this one is the most northerly in situ mosaic on display in the Roman Empire. It's a little bit specialist, that claim, but I like it anyway.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I think it's a bit of a new style of videoing. It was pretty random of me to find a tour guide on the go, ready to talk about Romans in Adleborough. But it was a great day out, and hopefully you've learned something as much as I did. The full tour, I won't be posting it because obviously it ruins your opportunity to go see it. But it's highly recommended that you go visit it. The guides are very knowledgeable, very experienced, and they can answer all sorts of questions. I mean, you've heard a few impromptu questions we asked, and she managed to answer very, very swiftly and forthright. So yeah, highly recommend visiting. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.
I'll take you back and thank you for your time.
Well, there you have it, folks. That was very interesting, very impromptu stop at Adleborough Roman town. We only saw a very small bit. The actual town would have been massive, well, way bigger than what we just saw. But really fascinating stuff. You know, the mosaics still survive all those years. And I think it's good to recognise that not a lot of it was done by slavery, but that's every society ever. So no, it was fascinating, and fascinating also, the locals were the ones who owned most of the property here. It wasn't the Romans, it was locals British people that managed to prosper here in the lead production facilities that were industry that was here. It's great. Things have changed, quite a lot. Anyway, I'm off home now, but thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.